Boys, girls, and boy girls, Andy and Emmy here, coming at you with another Christmas live stream. For those of you who might be a little bit alone over the holiday season, or maybe you just want to hang out, ask some questions, hang out, share some wins. I tell you what would be cool today. I can already see a bunch of you leaving questions in there. That's awesome. We'll answer those in a little bit. But we would love to hear some of your wins. So maybe share a victory or something cool that you did, or even just a little baby step that you've taken in the last week, or it could be in the last couple of days or the last month. But yeah, let's make it a little bit more positive today. Not that it's negative, but let's share a bit of positivity.
By sharing a win?
My win is that I love you. And I didn't love you up until today, so that's my win. There you go. No, I loved you before. My win, okay. We had a big my win is this, doing these live streams. I was very nervous to do these. Very nervous to do one of these every day. I was very terrified. I was terrified nobody would show up to the damn things, but lots of you keep coming. I was terrified nobody would ask any questions, and I just sit there twiddling my thumbs for an hour. I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to do a good job answering all your questions and helping you and all of that. So that's my win. What about yours?
Yesterday, I do pole dancing as like a sport that I like doing. And I got some new tricks yesterday. It's called a dragon's tail.
Show us on stream right now. Come on. Dance around this pole. Dance around this microphone.
Yeah, no. I'm not warmed up. But I got a new trick yesterday, so that was fun. It's called a dragon's tail. It's cool.
Claps for Emmy. Now, would you like to tell a story? We're going to start each one of these live streams with a little story or a fun anecdote or something about that from our lives while we wait for the questions and, you know, the victories and all of that to start rolling into the live stream chat. You want to tell about this girl? We dated this girl. I mean, we dated her. We had sex with her one time, and then she's like, "I can't fucking deal with this anymore." Which we'll tell you.
She didn't quite say that, but yeah,
she's like, "I can't do this."
Just going through a bit of stuff. She'd just gone through a breakup.
Yeah, she was this cute little tomboy-ish girl. Like she had short hair.
She wore cute little overalls, and it was actually funny. Yeah. After that date, Andy was like, "Emmy, we're getting you a pair of overalls."
She looked fucking adorable in overalls. She was dressed like kind of like a lesbian kind of thing, and very cute. And yeah, she'd just broken up with her boyfriend. We took her on this date, and we asked her, like, how long ago did you break up with your boyfriend? She's like, literally 2 weeks ago. And we're like, oh shit, like, are you ready for this? And she's like, yeah, I've just been listening to music and stuff. And I was like, what do you listen to? And she showed us the playlist, and it was literally called like Sad Girl Playlist. And all the songs were just like sad. And she's like
breakup music.
Yeah, she's like, I just listen to this every day and I just cry. And I was like, are you okay? Like, are you sure you're okay to do this?
And she actually did seem okay when she was talking about it all.
Yeah. And we went to a bar like during the daytime, and remember I had bought these little like figurine kits made out of clay.
This was kind of when we were transitioning into our period of trying to have more fun on dates, like not just doing the same thing of like going to a bar or a cafe, getting a drink, chatting, like making it fun for us as well. Because like if you keep going on dates and you just keep grabbing a drink, you keep grabbing a coffee, like
it gets a bit boring.
Yeah, and you're like it's great meeting new people, but like we may as well do something fun while we're also going on the date. So yes, you'd bought like these little like DIY plasticine, like make a figurine kits, and it has like little pictures of like what you're trying to make. So I think one of us made like a dinosaur.
Yeah. I made a penguin or something, or she made a
like
penguin.
A fox or something. Yeah.
So we're sitting there in this bar in the middle of the day, like fucking doing arts and crafts, and yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, it actually was a lot of fun. And at the time, actually, it was here where we are now, living in the Gold Coast, but at the time we didn't actually live here.
Yeah, we were just staying here for a week or something.
Yeah, we're just on a mini holiday. So we're actually staying in a hotel. So we didn't have any sex toys. And so I think we went on the date, and then that evening or the next day we saw her.
The next day we saw her for a second date, yeah.
And we went for a trip together. We walked to like a nearby sex toy shop, one that's actually just down the road. And we bought a vibrator and then took her back and fooled around, and it was actually quite a lot of fun.
Came back, yeah. I can't remember if we had sex or we
did.
Okay. We had sex, used the vibrator on her, she liked it. And then, yeah, she sent us a nice text the next day, and she's basically like, I can't do this. I'm not over my ex. I can't do this. And we're like, yeah. And maybe there's a lesson in there. Not really. It was fun. I had fun with her. She was nice. But...
yeah, it was actually it was during a period where we had like 3 or 4 girls in a row. Like we
that had sex with us once,
or we only saw them once, or went on a date.
I'm going through a breakup. I'm going through a breakup.
Not necessarily breakups, but just like
that other girl, the other girl that was like small and petite as well,
green hair.
Yeah, she was still getting over.
No, she wasn't.
Wasn't she?
No, she got into a relationship.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember things.
Yeah. That was a fun part of that was a fun little chapter. I liked that. I guess the lesson or the teaching moment there is on dates, you don't have to just go and sit in a bar and do the same old stuff. You can if you want to, but you can think outside the box a little bit and do some arts and crafts together, or sit there and try and cure cancer together or some shit. That was one of my favorite things I'd do with girls. I'd be like, all right, sit down. And they'd sit with me. I'd be like, all right, we need to crack the code on this thing. What is the meaning of life? Like, we got to figure this out today. And she'd be like, oh, what do you mean? I'd be like, come on, like, everyone's going around. Nobody knows the meaning of life. People think they do. Woman, like, we're going to crack it. What do you think it is? And she'd be like, I don't know. Like, to be happy. And I'd be like, oh shit, that might be it. Okay. Holy shit. And so, yeah, you can like have fun and be a bit silly on dates. I think a lot of people take them very seriously and you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but they don't have to be that serious.
They do not.
All right. So, like we said at the start of this live stream, I can see a few more of you coming into the chat now. Feel free to share your wins, like some victories or something you've done, or even just a tiny little baby step. Faretin, and I'm probably mispronouncing your name, my brother. You're Turkish, I believe. You came yesterday. Said, I wrote 45 likable traits about myself. It helped a lot, as you told me yesterday. Dude, awesome. Come on, you got to get 5 more. Come on, bro. Here's what I want. I want you to get 5 more by the time today's live stream is over. We're probably going to be here for roughly an hour and a half. 5 more. You can do 5 more, dude. Here's one right now. You're absolutely really good at coming up with likable traits about yourself.
I would say one is that you follow through on advice, because a lot of people, they get advice and they don't actually do it.
Yep. So there's 2. You're humble, if you haven't already put that on the list, because it requires a lot of humility to look at yourself through the lens of like self-love and compassion. Most people look at themselves and go, I'm a piece of shit. I don't deserve love.
Which sounds counterintuitive. Like, that sounds like the opposite of what we perceive as humility.
Yeah. It is an act of humility to say, you know what? Maybe I'm okay. Maybe I'm lovable. If other people are okay and I think they're lovable, then maybe I am too. You're basically treating yourself the way that you treat other people. So there you go. There's one. We want a couple more, brother. We want you to get to 50 by the time this live stream is over. Ravi says, hi, guys. Hope everyone is well. We are, my friend.
It's Ravi.
Yeah.
Hi, Ravi.
Look at his long username. Hasn't he got the fanciest username? Iron Will, the joyful performance method.
Fun.
Yeah. Ravi's a legend. Have you watched any of his videos lately?
No.
He does like vlog style motivational speeches. They're really cool.
Oh, cool.
He'll be like outside, sometimes at a sunset, sometimes in his backyard, and he gives these like great speeches. He does interviews too with his clients. You know how we do like interviews, and some of them are really good. And you know what's cool? A lot of my clients end up going to him for coaching like afterwards as well, because he coaches like slightly different stuff. I'd say what he does is more like how to be productive, how to maximize like your efficiency. He works a lot with mindset as well, and like how to be happy and peaceful and all of that. And so some people go through my coaching program and then go, you know what, fuck it, I'll do Ravi as well. And
that's cool.
So I've watched interviews where it's like our clients.
That's fun, yeah.
And you're like people that we coached like 2 years ago or so, and they're sitting down with Ravi and you're like, whoa, you get to see what they've changed and what they've gone through and all of that. So that's really cool.
Very cool.
Hi, Ravi. Ravi says his wins, both businesses growing at my currently highest monthly recurring revenue. That's so cool.
That is exciting. And I will like add the point that like a lot of the time during like coaching businesses, like people call this like a quiet period.
Like December,
like the
especially
holiday
for
season.
what he does, which is like motivational coaching. That usually dies off a little bit during December.
So I think that's a massive win, and probably like can destroy that limiting belief that like December has to be quiet.
To be fair, we've had a few coaching inquiries, and we had one person sign up last week, like for the proper big coaching program. Did he pay in full yet? This is like personal business. But like,
no, he is planning to on the 8th of December. So he's paid the
deposit. Okay, cool. And then we got another couple of coaching inquiries already. We've had like 2 more. So yeah, there is that limiting belief that we used to have that December is quiet for every business. It doesn't have to be. It'll be quieter, but you can still work harder. And that same thing applies to dating as well. I used to have a limiting belief that nobody would date you over like December because they're all doing holidays and all of that.
Yeah.
But there's still action that you can take. You can still go out there and talk to people and practice your communication skills. You can work on your appearance. You can, lose weight and all of that. You can still have dates. Like people will still date you during Christmas. It's just like have the expectation, or like let go of the expectation that they'll all be present and they'll show up and all of that, because people are doing Christmas gifts and family and traveling and all of that. So Cody, my win is Mariah, who's his wife, and I are committing to selling our house after a certain point. That's cool. Goal is to move out of state or travel. That's so cool. So we're going to start traveling next year as well.
Exciting.
That's really cool. Do you guys have an idea of like where you want to travel? Are you even thinking about that yet? Or are you going to like...
Okay, it's funny though.
Selling?
because we've talked about like our traveling, and when I mentioned to people that we're probably going to live and work remotely in about like 12 to 18 months from now, people are always like, where do you want to go? And you and I have talked about it, and we don't really have a conclusive answer on that. So it's interesting
Just
that
wherever.
you asked that. Yeah,
I'll go anywhere.
It basically is wherever.
America at some point, Europe at some point. We definitely want to go to Asia. When we come to America, we'll come say hi to like lots of you. I'll probably do like meetups or something, and we'll probably pick a couple of cities that are easy to meet up, like central, or like the popular cities like New York. I know that's like off on the side. It's not really like central in America, but whatever. People like New York.
Major cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faretin says, I love Ravi's new anti-hustle, effortless action mindset. Yeah, it's like the same stuff that we talk about on here. Like you don't have to suffer to reach your goals. You know, you can enjoy the process. You can kind of let go a little bit. And ironically, it's not ironic, but if you let go of the desperate, fucking crushing, soul-destroying need to achieve your goal, where you're just coming from a place of fear and pain and suffering, like, please, I need a girlfriend, please. Like, when you're not showing up with that desperate neediness, you actually get results a lot more. So you're still taking action, as you know, Ravi calls it effortless action. You're taking all the same action. If anything, you're taking more action because it's more relaxing. It's effortless. So you're finding ways to have fun. And a similar way to accomplish that is like our 3-step process for success, which is number 1, give yourself permission to suck. Number 2, just take some baby steps every day. Number 3, just keep going. Like, see how effortless that is? I'm not saying, and Ravi doesn't say this either, neither of us tell you, like, go out there and do a shit ton all at once and bust your ass and grind, sweat, blood, and tears. Like, what's funny is Ravi and I both did go through that period. Like, Ravi especially went through a period of, like, hustling and suffering, and it was torture for him. He'll be the first person to tell you that was torture for him. I coached him through that. And it felt like the entire time he was in coaching, Cam and I were just trying to remind him, Ravi, you beautiful soul, you are allowed to enjoy this process. And he was like, no, I have to suffer. I'm a piece of shit. I need to fix my dating life. This sucks. You know, stop telling me to relax. And eventually he got to a point where he's a lot more peaceful now. And he's not perfectly peaceful. Neither am I. Like, I'll be the first person to admit that. But like 98% peaceful now, maybe 90% peaceful. All right, let's answer some questions. Again, everybody feel free to start dropping wins. We want to hear some wins from all of you, some victories, some wins, some achievements. Life of Brandon says, hey, everyone. Well, Life of Brandon's achievement is he confessed his undying love for his classmate.
Not undying love.
Okay, he said, I've got a crush on you. Do you want to go out with me?
That's a massive win, because most people spend their whole lives way too scared to do stuff like that.
I know,
and then
bro.
you're always left
Holy
like
shit.
wondering what
like
what could have happened. Maybe she would have said yes. How would it have gone? I'll never know. And I feel like that's pretty torturous.
We are watching a TV show right now called Ted Lasso. Highly recommend the show. It's a really nice show. It's very positive. It's like very, very, very positive. And it deals a lot with honesty in dating and just friendships and everything. Like it's one of the most honest shows that I've ever seen. I'm actually surprised by how much it embraces honesty. And there's one guy, maybe we won't spoil it just in case someone watches it, but one character has a crush on this woman, and you know, he's going, how do I know if she likes me? Literally the same stuff we talk about on this channel. Some of you guys ask these questions. How do I know if a girl likes me? He's like literally asking those questions. And his mum gives him the best answer. She's like, you can't tell if a girl likes you. And then his sister, he goes to his sister.
Yeah, the question is, how do I know if she's just being nice to me or if she likes me?
Yeah. How do I know if she likes me? And the sister's like, you can't know that. You can't read her mind. The only way you know is if you ask her out. And he's like, are you sure I can't mind read? And she's like, ask her out. And so he finally works up the courage, and it's this big thing, and he's like so stressed about it, and he like puts all this effort into asking her out, and then finally he's like, do you want to go on a date with me sometime? And he's so nervous, and she's like, yes. And then it's like, oh,
and that was that.
Whoops. Like I could have just fucking done it. And he didn't procrastinate that long, to be fair. I think he procrastinated for like maybe a week or two, which is pretty good. That's not bad. And yeah, you never know. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And sometimes you'll just go up to someone and be like, hi, I like you. Do you want to date me? And they're like, yeah, go on then. Okay, let's do it. And you're like, what? Or, hi, would you like to have, a date with me? Would you like to have sex with me? Or would you like to be a coaching client of mine? Do you want to give me some money? And they're like, yeah. And you go, wait, is it really that easy? Like,
yeah. And then sometimes I say no. And you're like, all right, cool. Now I can go ask the next person, not sit around wondering if maybe I have a chance with this person that I'm fixing all of my attention on.
Yeah. And I mean, Brandon, who's on the screen right now, Brandon was honest about it. He's like, I hit on her and she said like, no, thank you, I'm not interested, but I feel really good because now I have a fucking answer. I don't have to sit there wondering what might have been, or wondering, does she like me, and trying to read signals. Like you said, people will try and read signals from each other, either someone they haven't dated yet, or on a date, they will try and read signals, or in the bedroom, or before they get to the bedroom, and definitely in a relationship. People are trying to like mind read each other and going like, what do you think he meant by this? What do you think she meant by this? What do you think this is? Like, do I know she likes me? Is she mad at me? But it's like, you can just be autistically honest and say it. You can be like, hey, like, I'm not really sure. Are you mad at me right now? If you are, like, we can talk about it if you want to, or I can give you space. And then the other person will say, yeah, I am mad.
We
Like,
do that stuff sometimes.
you and I do that. Yeah.
Regularly.
Yeah. I can see that you're upset. And I'm like, hey, like, I can see you're, or I think you're upset. Are you upset? I just will ask. I'm like, are you mad right now? I can't really tell. I don't even try and read signals. I can't be bothered with that bullshit. Because half the time when you try and read signals, you'll just straight up be wrong. Like, you straight up will be wrong. You'll be reading too much into something, and then you'll annoy the other person by trying to read their mind and all of this. So we like to just be honest.
Yeah.
Let's get to some questions.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that, Mr. Farreton says, loved the thumbnab, by the way. Yeah.
You showed me your thumbnail that you made about 3 or 4 times.
I was really proud of my thumbnail.
I like your thumbnail. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, I guess click off this video and go back to my page and YouTube page and you can see it. But I've got a bunch of horses. I found a picture with horses and people riding the horses. I put your face on all the people and my face on the horses. I'm going to do that every day, by the way. I got so many of these fucking lined up. You guys and girls don't understand. Every day we're going to get a poorly photoshopped picture of me, and I guess you, if you're going to be there, which you're not for the next 30 days, for the next
3 weeks,
20 days, I guess. Yeah.
Until after Christmas.
I'm going to do poorly photoshopped pictures. All right, Brian, Mr. Brian, I will preface your question here by saying I'm not really going to be able to answer your question, my brother. And I just really recommend you hit me up for one of those $200 coaching calls. Like, I can't answer this question without being able to go back and forwards with you. I would need to ask you a whole bunch of follow-up questions. So I've put a link down in the chat there, my friend. And there's also a link in the description of every video to the $200 coaching calls. If you haven't already done one, those are one per person. So if you have done one, you can just come to the coaching program. But we'll still read out your question and I'll explain why it's one that I can't really answer just like in a video. So Brian says, I've had a few dates via cold approach in 2022, which is amazing, but nothing since. I have time, but little energy to do a ton of approaches in one day. So who said you have to do a ton of approaches in one day? You're putting crazy pressure on yourself. Nobody said that. I know. Okay. Not nobody said that. I know there are a lot of people on the internet who will tell you that you have to go outside and approach like 50 fucking women and all of that. Start with what you can do. I have an approach anxiety program. Actually, I said I wasn't going to answer your question. I guess we are fucking answering your question, but I have an approach anxiety program on my website. And I start with the tiniest little baby steps for people like you. You know, you're saying, I can't approach right now. That's what you're saying. But there is always something that you can do. You can walk around, or I can ask you, can you walk around for 10 minutes thinking about talking to some women? Yes, you can. Like, literally everyone can, unless your legs are broken or something, in which case get a wheelchair. But you can walk around for 10 minutes thinking about approaching. Build a habit of that. If you do that for 2 or 3 weeks, eventually, after walking around or wheeling yourself around in your wheelchair because your legs are broken, after enough weeks of this, you'll have looked at enough women and gone, oh, I could talk to her. You'll be thinking about talking to her. At some point, you'll just see some woman who's really cute and she's like sitting on a bench and the situation is perfect. And you'll go, okay, screw this. What am I doing? I'm going to go say hi. And you'll do a poor job of it probably, but you'll go and say hi. You right now are focusing on what you can't do. You're saying, I can't go out there and do a ton of approaches in a day. Who the fuck told you to do that? Probably some pickup artist on the internet. But like, I've never told you to do that.
Yeah.
Ever.
And that's the same with every goal. Like,
yeah.
A really good example is like going to the gym. Like, if you've never worked out before, or you've never really liked the idea of working out, if you get a PT and they say you need to go to the gym for an hour and a half, like 6 days a week, like run away from that person. Like, you need to start small and work up with baby steps and basically like find a way that you can like it or get yourself used to these sort of things. So like, it would, you know, your first exercise program might be like 4 days a week. I go for like 20-30 minute walk and that's it. And then
just do the basics.
and then I go to the gym 1 or 2 days a week, and then you can build that up to like a 4, 5, 6 day a week program.
Yeah.
But yeah, the exact same I think applies with any goal, anything that you're scared or hesitant to do. Work up to it, baby steps.
Make it easier. Yeah.
Yeah. If you put too much in the way of expectations early on, you're probably going to be too intimidated by it all and
100%.
never try to begin with.
Yeah, if I can give all of you a life tip right here, which I guess is the point of the freaking channel, none of you are lazy or pathetic or bad at self-improvement or unworthy of your goals. You're just setting the bar too high. You're telling yourself, like in Brian's case here, that I have to go out and talk to a ton of women in a day, and that's emotionally draining and fatiguing. Or I have to lose 50 pounds, and it's like, that's terrifying as hell. Or I have to get my sex life in order, or I have to find a girlfriend and get married. And it's like, holy shit, that's like very scary. I would be terrified of that. I'm someone that's always been very, very terrified, very afraid of confrontation, very afraid of change, very afraid of taking action. Like, I've been utterly terrified for everything. I've always had doubts and insecurity. So have you. And all I've ever done is said, okay, I can't look at the bigger goal because it's too scary for me. What is one baby step that I can take right now? And that does require a little bit of letting go. It requires a lot of humility, because your brain will say, no, I have to take a ton of action. I see all these people on Instagram and YouTube and all of that doing crazy things, and I have to do the same. If I give all of you one tip, it's like, probably stop going on social media and comparing yourself. Just find a couple of people that you like to follow. That could be me. That could be a bunch of other people. Find some people that you like to follow and just watch them, and only watch the people that don't make you feel bad about yourself. Not that people are intentionally trying to make you feel bad, but you get the point. And just humble yourself enough to take some baby steps. And I promise it will add up. But your brain will then say, no, it's not enough. I have to do more. And it's like, I get it. I've had that voice. I still have that voice now, these days. I still have that voice in my head that says, no, I need to do more. But I listen to that voice and I go, okay, but what's one baby step I can do right now? So Brian and all the rest of you, if I give you one tip, it's like, you don't have to do everything all in one day. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We have all these sayings and quotes and proverbs for this stuff, but just work on doing a little bit if you want to. And if you don't want to, that's okay. That's a choice too. But you're allowed to just do a little bit, Brian. You don't have to go out and approach a ton of women. So you go on to say, I'm also tired of being polite and kind and just getting no's. Yeah. So what you're referring to there is something called moral deserts, where, and this is something a lot of human beings have. You're like, but I'm polite and kind. I should get what I want. And it's about letting go of that expectation. Just because you're polite and kind doesn't mean that everyone on the planet is going to sleep with you and say yes to you. There might be other things that you need to do. You might need to go and play the numbers game. You say, I haven't approached anyone, or I haven't had dates. I don't know how many people you've talked to, but I'm assuming you haven't talked to a lot of people in the last couple of years. Like, there you go. There's that. There's improving your pictures and going on dating apps.
Yeah. And I would say generally the reason that we are polite and kind or want to do good things, I think the way to do that, like with the best intentions, do it because it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
I
doing
feel
it to
good
feel
when
good, not to get
I
what you want. Yeah.
smile at people or pick up a bit of rubbish on the ground or try and do something kind. Like, I've worked very hard on making sure that every time I do one of those things, it's not with the expectation of something in return, because that's when, yes, it absolutely does not get reciprocated 100% of the time. And if you go in with that expectation, it will cause frustration and resentment. So if you don't want to be like the most nice, polite, kind person in the world, that's absolutely fine. But I guess my personal recommendation might be to at least always act in a way that you can stand behind. And that doesn't
Act with
necessarily
integrity where you're happy with how you acted. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like be the nicest person in the world, but be decent, I think, is maybe the
Yeah.
baseline expectation. If you're a decent person, that's all that's, I think, really required. Not that anything's required of you, but required of you as a human being. And so if that feels more true or more honest rather than trying to be overly nice, and then do that.
Yeah, understand that politeness and kindness are not a strategy that you do to get what you want. I know often it feels like that, but
And you often say that you get better results when you're going out and putting love and kindness into the
but
world.
that's not necessarily, that's part of it. But part of why you're doing this is because it feels good for you. You know, when you're a polite, kind person, you get to lay your head down on the pillow at night and feel good about how you treated other people. Like, you're doing it for that. It's for how you feel internally. It means you don't have that little voice in the back of your head that's like, you were an asshole today. You were kind of mean to people today. Why'd you speak to that person like that? I think you know that you could have been nicer. Like, you don't have that conscience in the back of your head. And so when it comes to being polite and kind and approaching, this is the mindset that helps a lot. You know, I bring this up a lot. I have no expectations, only curiosity. And if you can let go of the expectation that being polite and kind will just suddenly get you tons of sexual experience and tons of women and tons of that, you know, there might be other things that you need to work on. And this is why I said I can't really necessarily give you a great answer here, And this is why I said, just jump on a call with me, dude, or come to the coaching program, because I don't know what you look like. I can't go back and forwards with you and ask you questions. I can't say, like, you even said some of my friends tell me that I come on too strong. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know how strong you're coming on. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you look like. Like I said, I don't know how you're talking to other people. I don't know how many people you're talking to. And even if you give me the answer to all of those questions, this is just like 10 billion times easier if I can actually talk to you, like go back and forwards talk to you. So again, if you haven't already, jump on one of those $200 calls with me. Otherwise, the coaching program. Otherwise, yeah, you can say I'm trying to give you some answers. We're trying to give you answers, but like, we're playing on impossible mode when you're just a YouTube commenter. Like, I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're saying. It's just a lot harder. It would be like trying to go to therapy, but they can't see what you look like. They can't see your face. They can't talk to you, and you're just like and they also can't talk back and forwards with you. You just write them an email, and then they try and give you counseling. It's like very much hard mode. So you sort of go on to give a few more details. I'm a little autistic, hyper self-aware, blah, blah, blah. I think I come on too strong, or I get a flaky number. Like, again, this stuff's just like a lot easier for us to coach you with if I can actually talk to you. Yeah, it's an interesting challenge with what we're doing here with this live stream. Like, we can answer certain questions. Certain questions are just fucking easy to answer, but other questions of yours, of like you guys and girls, might require digging a little bit deeper, and that's too hard going back and forth. It's like I don't want to sit here just like some person like going back and forwards typing in the chat and all of that. It's way easier on a call. So yeah, you go on to say, is there a way that you've found to screen out attention seeking girls for girls that are actually available? So something that helped my mindset actually is letting go of the label attention seeking girls. I know that I used to use that phrasing in my old content, but they're not. Like, when we call it attention seeking girls, you're making them the other. You're saying they're this bad thing. They're wasting my time. A lot of the time, what we call attention seeking girl is just a girl who doesn't quite know what she wants, and she's trying to figure that out. That's not attention seeking. Or a girl who wants something different to us. Like, maybe she wants to go a little bit slower in the dating process
and spend a lot of time talking.
Yeah, she wants to talk a little bit on the app or over text, and she wants to have quite a few dates before she has sex. Like, fair enough. That's how most normal people are, by the way. Like, most people in society aren't having sex on the first date. They're just not. And so we call that, or it's easy to label that, an attention seeker. And it's like, no, she just has a different way of dating than you. She just wants something. That would be like if she turned to you and she was like, this guy's just a fuck boy. He's just trying to get in my pants. He's just a fuck boy. You'd be like, that's not a nice label. And so I know you're not saying it in a negative way, but I've found that it's really helpful to let go of that label and instead just say something that's a little bit more peaceful for me, where I say, okay, she just has a different style of dating, or she wants to talk more. She wants to talk a lot. And then I have a choice. Instead of saying she's bad, she's an attention seeker, she's wasting my time, I can say, do I want to talk to her for a little bit and see how it pans out, and have no expectations? There's no promises that me talking to her for longer will guarantee that we end up in bed together or dating. But would I like to do that? And if the answer is yes, then I talk for a little bit with no expectations. And then again, after we've talked for a little bit, I'll say, okay, would you like to grab that date now? And she'll either say yes or no, or maybe. Or if I decide, no, I don't really want to talk to people that are wanting to slow down, like be slow with the dating process. I'm looking for someone that's upfront and wants casual sex the same as I do, if that's what you're seeking. Okay, then I won't keep talking to her, but I'll be nice to her. And I'll say, I really hope what you're looking for, because that's the other thing. If we call someone an attention seeker or something, you're probably not going to be as nice to them. You're probably going to have resentment in your heart. And that then affects you and your ability to go and talk to more people. Because now you go, oh, I have to wade through these attention seekers and they're wasting my time and this sucks. And why do women, waste men's time and all of this? That makes it harder for you to go and talk to more women. So you do yourself a favor when you let go of a lot of these labels. And I can see that you're pretty gentle with yourself. Like, look, you called yourself a reasonable 30-year-old man. These women that want to slow down the dating process and talk for a little bit, they're reasonable too. And I'm just telling you that you'll make this a lot easier on yourself, and you will talk to more people. You'll approach more people. You'll have more fun if you let go of some of the labels. But yeah, again, I know I've used those labels in my old content. So like, I get it, dude. Like, I've used these labels too.
And this is an idea that you, Andy, and I have talked about when it comes to the dating that we do when we date women together. That we've often spoken about, like, a lot of women, like especially on the apps, will say, like, I'm really interested, because we often advertise like it's a threesome, it's going to be kinky. And they're like, I'm really into BDSM. I'm into the idea of kink. I'm really keen to like explore with other women or try with a couple. and yet those people don't meet us a lot of the time. Like there's so many people that would say how serious they are or how keen they are, and then things just never end up really working out. And for a while, like you used to get quite frustrated by that.
I used to get very frustrated, Brian.
And
yeah,
I think there was the temptation to call them like
time wasters.
Yeah, time wasters or like
seekers.
attention-seeking women. But the reality was that, and we kind of discussed the idea that a lot of the time, like in the moment, you genuinely believe that you are serious and you are keen on this because you are probably like maybe a bit more emotionally driven or having an emotional reaction. And in that moment, it is true that you are serious, but then that changes and stuff comes up and the level of seriousness might change. But it doesn't make that woman an attention seeker or a time waster. She's just changed her mind, and there isn't necessarily a way to predict that.
Yeah,
and
you can't read someone's mind.
Stop
and
your time
predict the
forever
future.
getting wasted. Not that it gets wasted, but you can call it that. And so you, as you said, Andy, kind of just need to like let go and move on to the next person and not attach so strongly, because it's the attachment and the frustration that ultimately slows you down, stops you wanting to keep going and trying.
Yeah, you don't play the numbers game and talk to more people to find the ones that want what you want when you're getting very frustrated by every person who doesn't want what you want. And I love what you said there. If you don't see this as a bad thing, like look for the silver lining in every person that you talk to. This goes for men and women. So if you Brian, if you talk to some woman and you're tempted to say that she's seeking attention, and you'll never know that until you literally say to her, "What are you seeking?" And she says, "Attention." And then you're like, "Oh, she's an attention seeker."
Which basically nobody will have the self-awareness
Some of them
to
do.
admit
No,
to.
no. I've had some that do. Yeah, there's plenty. If you and lots of my coaching clients do this too. I've had lots of coaching clients that say to women, "Hey, what are you looking for on here?" And some of them say, "I'm just looking to text and just like hang out on the app." Like, so you could call that attention seeking. I'm just wasting time on the app. I'm just like literally mucking around on the app. I don't have any intention of meeting people. So,
I have solipsism because I really don't like texting, of how anybody could find that enjoyable.
You're the opposite of like the attention seeking, but you do seek attention in other ways. We all do.
Of course,
I do too.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian. So I forgot what point I was making. Silver lining. So if you're able to find the silver lining with every person that you talk to, so let's say you're talking to some girl, you guys don't end up meeting up. Your brain is going to be very tempted to say, "She wasted my time," or "I wasted my own time. How do I screen harder?" And I'll give you some tips on screening harder in a second. But if you can see that not as a loss or a failure, or "I sucked, I didn't get her out here. She sucks, she didn't come out on a date with me." If you can look for the victory there, okay, I'm getting 1% better at figuring out who isn't serious or ready or wanting to meet up with me. I'm getting 1% better at screening. Okay, I'm practicing my stoicism. And stoicism is just the ability to deal with your emotions and be okay with frustrations and all of that. I'm becoming a little bit more resilient. I'm playing the numbers game. Every person that I meet that says no is one step closer to the next yes. And so I'm literally making progress, even though my brain is telling me that I'm not, and I'm wasting time and I'm not going to make it and I'll never make it there in time and all of that. So there are all of these beautiful hidden wins, hidden victories with every person that says no to you. But part of that is going to require rewiring your brain, which is what the Play to Win video course is there for. There's also a book called You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. And another really good book on this is Loving What Is, which is just a book on stoicism. So if you can start looking for the victories with every person that you talk to, instead of what most of us do, which is where we throw a little emotional tantrum when we don't get what we want. And we go, "This person's wasting my time. She's an attention seeker. This isn't fair. I'm never going to make it, blah, blah, blah." If we can see everybody that we talk to as a victory, no matter what the outcome is, if we can find that silver lining, then the dating process becomes really fun. And then you will show up to every date or every approach or every sexual experience or relationship experience trying to or looking for how you can benefit and how they can benefit too. And then every single step in this process is now fun. Instead of saying, "I'm only going to have fun and I'm only going to be happy when I get what I want." You know who says that? Children. Children say, "I'm only going to be happy when I get what I want. And if not, I'm going to throw a tantrum." And Brent, I'm not calling you a child, but I guess we are all big kids, aren't we? We all grew up, we went through childhood, and then most of us, myself included, a lot of the time, we haven't yet learned how to be adults. And adults say, "All right, I'm going to roll with the punches. Sometimes I don't get what I want. That's cool. I'll adapt. I'll overcome. I'll learn what to do. I'll look for the silver lining. I will keep on going." And so this process of dating and really just self-improvement is a process of maturation. We're all maturing. We're all slowly becoming adults and saying, "Okay, I don't always get what I want. If I got what I wanted all the time, that would be unfair to everyone else. And then they'd all fucking hate me because why does this guy get what he wants 100% of the time?
And also be boring.
It'd be boring. Yeah, I've said this before. If you got what you wanted 100% of the time, that is like entering cheat codes into a video game. And any of you who've played video games and you enter like God mode or something, the game just loses all meaning because now there's no challenge, there's no opportunity, there's nothing on the line. So there's no opportunity for a no or a mistake or learning. You don't learn anything. And so you secretly want people to say no to you. I've talked about this. And this is going to sound like a funny way of saying it, Brian, but you secretly want people to, like, quote, waste your time. They're not wasting your time, but you want them to, quote, waste your time because then you can learn something. And I know your question was, how do I screen a little bit harder? By being more honest and upfront. It's literally just that. And accepting that sometimes people are not very good at being honest with you in return. So sometimes you'll say, let's say you want a casual sexual relationship. You'll say, hey, I'm looking for something casual and sexual. Does that suit you? And she'll go, yeah. But then it turns out what she secretly wants is a relationship. So sometimes people aren't good with being honest. And you'll come to learn that by just being more upfront. You'll see people that are kind of on the fence and they're like, I mean, I guess I could do that. And you'll go, okay, I only want to date the people that say, hell yes, I want the same thing. And anyone who's like, I don't know, then I'll know that that's a no. So you'll eventually get good at looking for that. But really it's about being as upfront and honest and raw and real as you can at the very start and saying, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And then looking for the people that are relatively excited and say yes. And anyone who says no, it's about getting less emotional about that and not calling them an attention seeker or not getting frustrated and just saying, you know what, she wants something different. Cool. Okay, next. And then like moving on to the next person. And you might have some feelings and you process them and all of that. But the quicker you can get back on the horse and go talk to the next person, the quicker you will find the people that want what you want. Like this is a numbers game and there's no way to mind read whether or not someone wants the same thing as you. Like there's no secret technique that I can tell you. It is literally just go and talk to a lot of people, be as honest and upfront as you can, and then you will quickly find the people that want what you want. And anyone who's like a maybe or on the fence, I wouldn't spend as much time with them. Anyone who's a no, spend like zero time with them other than saying, hey, that's beautiful. I hope you find what you're looking for, and go find the people who are like, hell yes. And there's a lot of people that want the same thing as you.
For right. Sure.
Yeah, done. Great.
Big answer for that one that you said you weren't going to answer.
Yeah, I know. I said I wasn't going to answer. But the bit I wasn't going to answer is like where you said basically, am I doing something wrong? Am I coming on too strong or whatever? It's like, I can't really answer that without like being on a call with you. But yeah, that answer probably helped a little bit. Ravi says, super good take. The world is a mirror. Yeah. So if your mindset is very negative, then you'll have a lot of negative experiences. If you have a positive mindset, then you'll have a lot of positive experiences.
And I think Ravi, from what you've told me and from what I've heard, Ravi is a really good example of that because
who went from negative to positive.
In the beginning, like was struggling. I believe Ravi was struggling with some mindset stuff or viewing things in a more negative way or getting a little bit hopeless sometimes. But I think there's been huge growth there. And as you can tell, like clearly if Ravi is his main thing that he's doing right now is like working on motivating other people, there's been a huge shift in mindset.
Ravi's like way more positive than he used to be. Holy crap. He says everything is learning. Yeah, everything is a learning experience. And one of my favorite things of this, a friend gave this to me, fail, like the word fail, F-A-I-L, can stand for first attempt in learning. And I did a video on this, so just search my channel for fail. And if you can see every failure, not as a failure, but like, oh, I was just trying something. It didn't work. Cool. I'll either change something or I'll try the same thing again and see if it works the second time, or I'll tweak something, or I'll go in a completely different direction, or I'll just keep doing it for a while and see if it works out. Like if you can see failure and mistakes as growth opportunities, there's a really good quote by a guy called Grant Cardone. Every problem is an opportunity in disguise. And you could say every mistake is an opportunity in disguise. Every rejection is an opportunity in disguise. It's a chance for you to practice your resilience, your stoicism, to get back up. And if anything, it helps you learn a bit of humility. To be told no is such a beautiful, humbling experience that so many of you are tempted to say is the worst thing in the world. And it's like, no, you need this. Like politely, a lot of us, myself included, need to be told no more because we grew up as children where, yeah, parents said no to us, but a lot of the time, like if you cry, they're going to fucking give you what you want. If you're hungry, they'll give you food. Like all your needs are taken care of. And the school system is there to sort of take care of your needs or try to. The government is there to try and take care of your needs. Like we've all been babied because society wants us to be happy and safe and all of that. Like that's a nice thing. It's not a bad thing. But when we then come into the real world where we're going out there and there's nobody really that's going to baby you when you walk up to a woman and say, would you like to go on a date with me? Like, you can make it easier by having a coach. You can make it easier by having friends that go out with you. So I do recommend that. That helps. But like, you are faced with the very real fact that this person doesn't want to date you or doesn't want the same thing as you. And that can be such a humbling experience, but that's beautiful. Like, do you really want to live your whole life cotton wooled, like in a bubble, feeling like nobody's ever going to reject me and I'm secretly the most important person in the entire universe and nobody else knows it and every thought that's in my head is correct? Like, that's what most of us have by default until we go through the self-improvement process and we start getting humbled a bit and we realize, wow, not all of my opinions are correct. Not all of my dog shit takes on things are just like correct. I'm not the only thought in the universe. I'm not the only opinion in the universe. Not everyone wants to fuck me. Like, if you can really wrap your head around these concepts, that's a life of peace, because it's a life of empathy and understanding of other people. And you don't take things so personally when someone doesn't want to give you what you want. But yeah, that's a process. I'm not perfect with that. I'm not perfectly humble. Neither are you. But we're working on it a little bit every day.
For sure. Another question?
All right, this one. You want to do this one?
Sure. Hey, Andy and Emmy. Do you have any advice for this situation? I feel like I'm not enough, even if it is enough, even if I'm way above average. How can I convince myself to believe I am enough? I think this is something that we touched on a little bit earlier, that funnily enough, when we tell ourselves that we're not good enough or that we're a piece of shit or that you should be doing better, a lot of the time we think that's we're being humble, but it's actually the opposite. It's actually having a massive ego and thinking that we're special. And I do this a lot. So I have very, very, very high expectations for myself.
Yeah, with your art especially. Yeah.
With my art, with like my athletic performance, any of like the sports that I do, in random hobbies that I try that I've never done before and expect myself to be better than everybody else. And all of that, like I will tell myself I'm not good enough and I should be doing better. And in reality, that comes from a very inflated ego and then a sense that I should be better than everybody else, that the bar should be set higher for myself because I'm just a better person. And I think letting go of that and realizing that I'm not special and that I need to get over myself and that it's okay to be shitty at things sometimes or to not be perfect. Like, I don't need to be better than everyone. It's okay to be average, because by definition, most of us are, or at least in some areas.
And the brain doesn't want to accept that. Our brains don't want to accept, like, I'm just like other people. Your brain's like, no, I'm not. I'm special.
Yeah, it wants to pipe up and say, no, I want to be better than everybody else. And I think,
or I'm worse than everybody else. Like, I'm a piece of shit. Other people deserve to feel okay, but not me.
Yeah, and I think working on letting go of that has really helped. I think a technique that I think a lot of psychologists that I've been to use, that we say to each other a lot, that I know you use with clients, is like, what would you say to your friend?
What would you say to your best friend? Yeah.
If your friend was being hard on themselves and saying that they're not good enough for any number of reasons, like, what would you say to them? And then give that advice back to you. Because, like, as a perfect example, like for my performance in certain sports, I'm telling myself I should be better. Like, what would I say to my friend who's had the exact same experience level, who's performing the exact same as me? Would I tell them that they need to be doing better? No, probably not. Especially not if I can see that they're trying really hard. And the same when it comes to dating or money or any other number of things. If a friend or even a stranger came up to me and laid out the whole situation as if it were my situation was exactly the same as theirs, I'd probably tell them that they're doing a good job and that they're enough. And recognizing that, I think if you can really get into like almost dissociating from yourself and pretending you're hearing your own situation as if it were a stranger's, can be a very helpful exercise to have some more objectivity.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, go and read this book. It's called I Need Your Love. Is That True? This book here by Byron Katie. Just go read that book. That's like a book on self-esteem and letting yourself feel like you are enough. This is like the book on this topic. So I'd go check that out.
Yeah.
All right. There was another cool question here I wanted to answer by Benjamin, the handsome guy who doesn't know how handsome he is. And you say, how can I not dread a potential negative situation that could come up? So it's like, how do I let go of my fear and anxiety and worry? Well, my friend, so I have something called a Play to Win video course that I talk about in every bit of content. Go and watch this chapter. This is literally a chapter on what you're talking about. How do I overcome my fears? How do I overcome my limiting beliefs and my doubt? And I have a whole bunch of exercises in there. One of them that I'll give you right off the top of my head is for every negative situation that you're worried about that might come up, think of one positive. So if you're going to sit there and say, what if we go on a date and she laughs at me and calls me ugly? It's like, okay, fine. But we're men and women of science and rationality here. We're going to be balanced and fair. So if you're worried that she might laugh at you and call you ugly, what's the opposite of that? She might smile at you and tell you that you're handsome. That's equally likely. Like, why is that any less likely? And your brain, if it's been trained on negativity, will say, but that's not going to happen. Like, you think you're being rational, but you're often just being negative. I've said this to a lot of people. You think you're being realistic, but you're actually just being negative. You're focusing only on the negatives. And I'm not saying you, Benjamin, do that all the time, but sometimes we focus only on the negatives. I can see there's a few of you, that show up to chats and like the comment section sometimes that you do get a little bit caught up in anxiety and worry and fear. And you never, like from some of you, I never hear you talk about the positive potentials. All I ever hear is like, what if she rejects me? What if she hates me? What if she thinks I'm ugly? What if she doesn't want to date me? What if she laughs at me? And it's like, okay, what if she says yes to you? What if she thinks you're handsome? What if you guys have the most mind-blowing sexual experience and you fall in love and you get married and have kids? What if she boosts your self-esteem? What if she opens up to you and is vulnerable and tells you her fears and doubts and limiting beliefs, and then you guys share and bond over that and you go, wow, maybe I'm not so alone. So this chapter in the Play to Win video course, I really recommend you go through and do that. Like, it is literally the step-by-step process of what to do when you have these anxieties. You're just talking about anxieties.
Yeah, and I can see that Benjamin goes on to say, every time I meet a girl, I say to myself, she's going to reject me. I'm going to go on a date with her, but she's not going to want to see me again, etc., etc. And I think something that helps me, and it's quite a meditative, well, it's kind of the idea of a lot of meditation, is that you can just notice those thoughts.
You don't have to believe them.
We can't control the thoughts that come into our head. And we're not actually, like, our higher self that is the one that's like noticing the thoughts. We're not actually in control of the thoughts that pop up, and you can actually dissociate from the thoughts and just see them as
a random thought that's
these
in
random
your head.
things that
it's
kind
not
of,
reality. Like your negative thoughts are not reality. They're an illusion. They might come true, but how many of your negative thoughts, Benjamin, have not come true? The vast majority of them. Like, reality is much kinder than our thoughts about it.
And when we just see them as thoughts that have no power, have no real meaning, they're just these kind of random ideas that come out of nowhere and get kind of created into the universe. When you don't attach to them, you don't see them as yours, you don't see them as truth, and you'd be like, oh, isn't that interesting? My mind, and seeing it separate from yourself, but saying like, oh, my mind's creating that thought right now. Like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And when you don't attach to them and you just see them as these kind of random, often wrong, kind of silly things that pop into your brain, they lose a lot of their weight and a lot of their impact, because you're like, oh, that's not true. That's not me. It's just a random little thought. Like, oh, look at that. Like, that's interesting. Then my brain's like giving me that. Isn't that interesting? And the less you attach, the easier it is to be, I guess, peaceful about all of said thoughts.
Yeah. But Benjamin, I promise you're doing a good job. This is just like a practice thing of working on being a little bit more positive. You're basically just training yourself to look for the positives as often as you look for the negatives. And you can kind of think of it like this. Instead of seeing negative thoughts, like, you'll notice that we never say negative thoughts or emotions or any of that are bad. Like, you'll never, ever, 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 ever hear us say that. You might assume that that's what we're saying. A lot of the time when we talk about this stuff, people go, oh yeah, I need to stop having negative thoughts. I never fucking said that. Neither did Imogen. If you go back and watch the tape, Imogen said, we notice the negative thoughts and we just don't take them that seriously, but they're okay. It's okay that they're there. You're just a human. You have some negative thoughts. You can go one step further and label these thoughts that you're tempted to see as negative. You can label them as a good thing. You can say, why am I having these anxieties and all this fear about, like, what if something goes wrong? What if she rejects me? What if she hurts me? Why am I having this in the first place? And you can study it, read a bit of psychology, but you can just kind of think about it and go, okay, why are these here? To protect me. My brain, my emotions don't want me to die or be sad or be hurt or be in a situation where I can't handle it. And so these anxieties and this anxious part of me and this fearful part of me is trying to keep me safe. And then you stop and think about that for a little bit and you're like, wow, so I have an internal mechanism inside me that is trying to look after me without even my input. I'm not even running the show. Just these emotions are coming up and trying to keep me safe. And they might feel, fearful and strong and anxious, but they're there to look after me and keep me safe. Wow, that's really nice. And then you might look at your body, like literally look down at your body, look at your heart or something, or you can look in the mirror and look into your own eyes and, look at your brain, so to speak, and say, thank you, brain. Thank you, emotions, for trying to keep me safe. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that. And then instead of seeing them as the villain, like, why am I having these fears? I need to just get over it. Especially we as men are so tempted to just be like, emotions are bad. I should never have emotions. I should never cry. I should never be sad. They're bad. They're evil. They're wrong. They're dumb. I'm a pussy. I'm weak. It's like, no, be grateful for them, or you're allowed to be grateful for them. And then what you can do is say, okay, I noticed that there's these emotions. There's these fears and anxieties and worries and concerns. And that's okay. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, emotions. Now, what would I like to do? And the answer will probably come up, well, I do want to go on the date with this woman. It's an important goal of mine. I think it'll bring me some joy. I think I can bring her some joy. I do want to go on the date. And then what you do is you go, okay, thank you, emotions, for trying to keep me safe. I am going to go on this date. But yeah, if you have some fears or some concerns, you can tell them to me and I'll listen to them a little bit, but we're still going to go on the date and I promise everything's going to be okay. But thank you for trying to keep me safe. And then maybe you're on the date and you have a thought in your head of like, oh, she's probably bored right now. She's probably not going to like me. And you go, thank you for trying to keep me safe. But even if she doesn't like me, I'll still be okay. I will be safe. I'm okay. But thank you, thought. And if you start getting into a practice of saying thank you for your emotions, like literally just say it in your head, or you can say it out loud. But being grateful and thankful for the emotions, what happens is they become less loud, less violent, less aggressive. They're more peaceful. Like the emotions that we right now call negative become less negative. They become more peaceful. It's just a little voice in your head that goes like, what if she rejects you? And you're like, thank you for keeping me safe. I think it'll be okay if she rejects me. It'll be okay. And then the thought goes, okay, cool. You got this. Like I still have all these thoughts. So do you. We have all of these doubts and fears and emotions. It's just that when I hear it, I'm practiced at saying, thank you. I appreciate you keeping me safe, or investigating the thought and saying, okay, why am I having this anxious thought? Why am I having this nervous feeling? What is this trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me, this is a scary or a situation that you feel is scary, and just make sure you're safe in there. And then I go, thank you. I'm going to be as safe as I can, but I'm still going to take some risks and have fun, blah, blah, blah. So I promise that the emotions become a lot less violent and aggressive as you start to be grateful for them. And that can be a bit of a challenge at first, because most people are not in the mindset of saying, thank you, anxiety. Most people are like, anxiety is terrible. And you suppress it and you bottle it up. And any fucking psychologist or psychiatrist will tell you that makes it way stronger. If you're trying to suppress it, what's that saying? I think it was like Nietzsche or Jung or Freud or someone said, what we resist persists. Like if you resist an emotion and try and bottle it up, it just gets stronger. It just keeps going. So yeah, but good question. I like this question. You want to have a crack at the next one?
Sure. What's the next one? You need to pick one.
Well, this one's more to me, but you've done a lot for this, so I feel like you could answer this.
All right.
Ravi.
From Ravi. When you were actively working on mental health and happiness, what did this look like for you each day, and what did you find to be most effective? Reading, journaling, reflection, etc. I feel like we can both kind of answer, because I think our own journeys are different. So I think what has resonated for me a lot, and this has been interesting because when I've been unhappy, I think, Andy, you've often pushed what works for you or really advocated that.
I used to. I don't really do that much anymore. But yeah.
It's definitely not something that appeals to me. So you're somebody that really likes to read and go really deep on like information and books and spend all of your time doing that. And the way that you perceive to be the most productive, I think often for you might be like spending 3 hours reading spiritual texts or information on all of this stuff, whereas that's never really resonated with me. And we both work with the same coach, Keith, who kind of works on a lot of ideas around spirituality and mindset and things like that. And I was speaking to him, and I think what has always worked for me is just doing what naturally, like if I ask myself the question, what's going to make me happy right now? Just doing more of that and focusing on being present and enjoying those things that bring me happiness and peace. Like it seems almost too easy or simple, but it is actually rather intuitive of like, okay, if I'm not feeling very happy right now, what does make me happy?
I'm just going to do that.
Let's just do that. And like initially, like you might think that the things that make me happy are like self-medication, like eating food, watching TV, like
Porn,
not
alcohol,
doing anything,
drugs.
being lazy. But if I dig a little deeper and like what's going to make me truly happy, like not just some quick fix self-medication dopamine hit, but like what is going to make me fulfilled and feel more at peace, or if I look back to my past, what's made me feel good, it's often doing things like exercising, spending time with friends, going for a walk outside, sitting by the beach. Those are the things that bring me happiness, and every time I do those things I feel good. And doing all of those things, while it might not feel like it actively works towards spirituality or peace, for me, I've found that doing more of those things makes me more connected to the world around me, be more present. It makes me less in my own head. And that being in that state, coming out of something where I'm not feeling very good or I'm feeling a little bit depressed, it then gives me more space to be grateful and acknowledge all of the things in my life, and then maybe do the more tangible steps like journaling. Like I definitely feel like writing out and journaling has been a very helpful practice to do it
For you,
as often as possible, just to kind of order my thoughts, and maybe having some prompts that like promote gratitude. And obviously hearing ideas from you really helps. Like funnily enough, I think the best way that I absorb things is when you or I will talk about like ideas about spirituality or happiness or peace together, often practicing gratitude. But day to day, at least for me, it looks like just doing things that bring me
joy.
joy.
Yeah. So Ravi, as Emmy kind of hinted at there, I've always gone the super ultra autistic nerd route of things. I have read so many books on happiness, Buddhism. I've watched so many TV shows. A really good TV show on this is The Good Place, which is just basically like a course in spirituality on it, in it, like by itself. I've played so many video games that specifically deal with like happiness and mental health and all of that. I've read everything that Byron Katie ever put out, including like weird audiobooks that are hard to find. I've watched like hundreds of her podcasts. I've read like 10 books by David Hawkins, and I'm still making my way through the rest of his. And I've watched like all his lectures and all of that. Like I said, Buddhism, a ton of like just self-improvement books. I've always wanted to go the nerdy route. And then at some point, our spiritual coach, Keith, said to me, all right, I think you have enough information now. Like now it's about just doing it. And I was already getting to that point anyway, because David Hawkins talks about that a lot. He's like, look, reading will help you to a point, but at some point, if you want to be happy, just let yourself be happy. Like it really is that simple. It's like letting go. Okay, I don't have to wait until I achieve all my goals before I'm happy. I don't have to wait until I have my car and more money and this and women and sex and relationships and all of that. Like happiness is not something that you do. The real epiphany is when you realize, wait, happiness is something that I already am. I've just been putting conditions on my happiness. I've been telling myself I'll be happy when I achieve the next goal, when I do the next big thing. Like all of you listening right now are allowed to be happy right now. It's just that you think you're not. And we've built up all of these limiting beliefs on happiness. I'll be happy when I have money, when I have sex, when I'm better along, when I'm more attractive, all of that. It's like you can be happy while you work on those things. So that was my biggest epiphany. And it's something I'm still working on. I am not perfectly happy, but yeah, just reminding yourself that you can be happy. So I have a reminder in my phone every day that just says like practice gratitude, practice letting go, practice being happy, like let myself do those things. Once a week, we talk about it and we say, what are 5 things that me, Andy, fell in love with this week? So for me, happiness is love. And then I will name like 5 people or 5 things that I fell in love with. Like it could be random strangers, it could be friends, it could be you, my audience. A lot of the time I just say the audience, like I fell in love with you guys and girls. Like I'm looking for things that I fell in love with. And usually we do way more than 5, and we'll just spend a day focusing on like gratitude and love. So it's really just letting yourself do these things. But yeah, Ravi, you're already doing like a lot of this stuff anyway. Like Ravi's doing a hell of a lot. So Rishav, and one of you, I saw another one of you asked a similar question too. So Rishav says, can you suggest some video games regarding this, like peace and love and happiness? And Faretin says, Andy, what video games did you play recently that are positive ones? I've talked quite a lot about Spiritfarer. Is a really beautiful game at coming to terms with death and how death can be a beautiful thing and celebration of life and all of that. So that's like a really highly recommended one. The Talos Principle 1 and 2, as well as the DLC for both games. So there's sort of almost 4 games there. Those are mind-blowing at like thinking about life and the universe and all of that. The Outer Wilds is pretty good for the same sort of stuff. Any other games? We've played like a ton of games, but those are just the most recent ones about positive stuff. Any
Yeah.
other like really positive games?
I think To the Moon.
To the Moon. Good shout. To the Moon. Good shout. Yep. And all the games that come from the same company.
I think
There's a bunch more, like a bird
again,
story
concepts around death and life
and
and
love and
how we
letting
live
go.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So any of those are some good starts. But
Yeah.
yeah, we try and play games that are positive. We've played quite a few games where we get like maybe 2 hours into it and we're like, nah, this is negative.
Yeah, it's like a lot of murder and death and stuff. And
yeah,
like,
so we try and avoid. I used to play a lot of like first person shooters and stuff, and these days I just it's not really what I want to be putting into my brain. Same as like TV shows. We used to watch like a lot of like violent shows and all of that. So we're just anyway, that's separate.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's worth saying that like with like pop media or consuming these ideas, sometimes like it doesn't have to be in very dry informational books and text. Like you can still explore these ideas in a very fun, easy to access way, whether that's through games or TV or movies. I think something that you, Andy, really love doing is spending a lot of time discussing the ideas and things that maybe like would be very easy to just watch and say it's like funny or interesting or good and then move on.
I use movies, games, and TV as like self-improvement texts. Yeah.
But yeah, if it feels easier to you or it appeals to you more, like you can just think more about the concepts in like a popular movie especially when the themes are around like love and life and meaning of life and all of those things. Like they can actually be a really great vessel to start exploring those ideas without it, like with quite a low barrier to entry.
Yeah, they're very easy to watch. Like if you want movies and TV shows and that, just start with The Good Place. It's probably my number one recommendation. Ted Lasso is pretty good at talking about honesty, especially in dating and relationships and stuff like that. But yeah, there's tons of stuff out there. Rishav says, but Andy, violence is also a part of life. Does it have to be though? That would be my first question to you. Do we actually have to completely shut ourselves from that type of content to be in a better place? You don't have to do anything. Like I'm never going to sit here and tell you that you have to do anything. Now, will you be more peaceful if you turn towards peace instead of violence? Yes. Simple as that. So you can do whatever you want. I'm just speaking from my experience, and every Buddhist will tell you this as well. As we turn towards peace, we feel more peace. As we shut out the violent influences, we feel less violence. Also, you know, it's funny that we're so brainwashed by the like media and stuff that we consume, like TVs, books, all of that, like look at your statement that you've written here, Rishav. Violence is a part of life. When was the last time you got punched in the face? When was the last time you went outside and saw someone get stabbed? When was the last time you saw a whole bunch of people like engaging in a ton of violence?
Yeah, like you actually witnessed real life violence.
Yeah, these things are so rare, but yet we say they're a part of life. No, they're a part of the media that we consume. Like they are. And in certain parts of the world, yeah, there is tons of violence. I would never live in those places. I would never visit those places. Like if there's a place where people are literally like stabbing each other in the street, like in the slums of Brazil or something, the favelas of Brazil, yeah, I'm never going there. Why would I? I'm here for a short amount of time, as far as I can tell. Why would I spend my time where there's violence? Why would I spend my time consuming violence the same way as negativity? Why would I consume stuff that tells me I'm not going to make it, or I'm a piece of shit, or I'm a loser? Like, why would I read negative YouTube comments? Like, why would I go on Reddit and stuff like that? Like, I just don't have time for that stuff. So again, you can consume whatever you want. Like, watch whatever you want. Like it's your life. I want you guys and girls to do whatever you want. But yeah, we just know in our life we're a lot more peaceful when we don't watch violent stuff, when I don't listen to violent music, when I don't like music that advocates for violence, when I don't talk about revenge, when I don't watch revenge. I just know my life is a whole lot better when I go in search of like honesty, truth, compassion, forgiveness, non-judgmentalism, and all of that. And that isn't most of the media, I'll be honest. Like most movies,
you have to look pretty hard for stuff that doesn't involve a lot of that. And we often actually we consume a lot of like kids movies and stuff.
Fucking kids movies and family movies are like the best content for just like, all right, I just want to sit down and feel better after I watch this goddamn movie. It's like, just go watch everything by Pixar, DreamWorks, like Studio Ghibli, all of that shit. At the end, you're like, wow, I feel better. Whereas a lot of movies at the end, you're like, wow, I feel worse. And yeah, I just know in my life, I feel better when I only consume stuff that wants me to feel better.
Yeah, it's an idea because we've been speaking about this a lot because you and I have both made a very active point of consuming less of this stuff. And it's actually something that requires a lot of intention because like stuff pops up all the time. Like I used to watch a lot of, not horror, but I used to watch a lot of like thriller movies, like in the background when I was like doing art or any other, like cleaning the house. And like that stuff, it draws my attention. Like, oh, I kind of do want to see that, but I won't because I know it's not good for me. And then like a point that we each made is that often our brain creates these very intrusive thoughts that can be quite violent or scary. Like what happens
because of the media you've consumed?
Yeah, like sometimes I'm crossing the road and I'm like, what if this car just decides to run me over instead?
Yeah, or I'm in a bar and I have this intrusive thought of like, what if that guy just like starts punching me in the face? And it's like, bro, that's from all the movies you've watched where random people just get violent and
especially like with women. Like what if this man attacks me? What if I
Yeah.
get raped? What if I get drugged?
because
Like,
you've seen that in
because you've like watched a lot of like Law and Order, like a lot of SVU, and you start thinking about that stuff a lot. And it, like, again, as you said, like that stuff rarely happens, but because we consume so much media that talks about it so often, you're thinking about it, and some part of your subconscious, because you are like, I'm definitely not the only person who has a lot of those intrusive thoughts. That came from somewhere. Like I don't think if you never had all of those influences, I don't think you would get those same intrusive thoughts and like think about those things happening. But it's because we see it so regularly in film and TV that it can get into our little subconscious and make us feel a little bad.
Rishav goes on to say, good point. If we're giving much more attention to the negative emotions in the content we produce, because it's like intoxicating. Ravi says, the kids stuff 100% makes you feel better. It's a real hack. Phoenix makes a really interesting point, or a really interesting, I guess, thought. When I watch movies like John Wick, I just see a man solving problems and getting justice for loved ones. Justice or revenge. Sit there and think about that for a little bit. You know, I think one of my favorite quotes from the Christian Bible is an eye for an eye just makes the whole world go blind. And if you think about things like John Wick, someone killed his dog, not nice. So then you and I have had this conversation. I've seen all the John Wick movies. And after the last one, I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to watch these.
They finished up anyway.
But I was like, all right, I'm going to make a decisive, intentional effort to not watch stuff like this anymore. And we watched that Jason Statham one too, the Beekeeper. After that, I was just like, I don't think this is good for my psyche. I don't think this is what I personally want to watch. And again, all of you can watch whatever you want. But with John Wick, someone killed his dog. He then murdered hundreds of people. Like, how is that justice? If that was in the justice system, we would be locking that person up. We would be giving them the death penalty or something in America. That's like a serial killer. Someone killed your dog and you killed hundreds of people, and we lose our sense of justice because he's the good guy. And like we could go on and on. Again, I don't want to spoil movies for you guys and girls, so maybe we won't talk about this too much more, because if you're currently enjoying John Wick and stuff, I want you to enjoy that. Like, great, have fun. I'm not saying the movie's bad. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't like that stuff. I don't want that stuff in my brain, because I've been very honest with myself, and it takes a lot of self-awareness to admit that something like that is having an impact on your psyche. After I leave the theater of watching a John Wick movie, my brain is like, I would fuck up the bad guys too. And it's like, listen to what I just said. I'm thinking about going and committing violence on other people. Like, I don't want that. And if someone was to kill my dog, then I would deal with that in a peaceful, loving way, where I don't then bring my own psyche down to their level. Again, an eye for an eye just makes the whole world go blind. And if someone kills my dog, the answer isn't going and killing hundreds of them. I can do that. That's an option. But then how am I any different from the people that killed my dog? I'm now engaging in the same act as them. I'd rather rise above it. So this is all like subtlety stuff. But I like this discussion, by the way. And when I answer these questions, like, I try really hard not to like affect your guys and girls' enjoyment of media and stuff, because I want you to enjoy what you enjoy. We've found in our life we don't really enjoy that stuff as much anymore. We like the peaceful, chill stuff. We just find that gets us closer to the people that we want to be. When I leave a John Wick movie, I don't feel more motivated to go and crush my goals. Now, some of you might be like, when I leave the theater after John Wick, I want to go dominate my goals. Brilliant, great. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. Me personally, that isn't. Basically what we're saying here is, I like chocolate ice cream, you guys like strawberry ice cream. We're allowed to like different things, and I would never tell you that strawberry is bad or blah blah blah. Emil asked a question, and by the way, guys and girls, we'll probably finish up about 20 minutes from now. Emil asked a question that he asked yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to answer it. What was the most interesting experiment you've done with respect to dating apps or approaching women? Any interesting insights with either? Being more honest and upfront with both.
We actually touched on this yesterday, and I talked about the BSM line.
Yeah, so on dating apps, just putting a BDSM picture on my profile and saying, hey, we're looking for BDSM. Or I did it before I met you. It's how I met you. Hey, I'm looking for BDSM. And I would just say that in my first message. Hey, I'm looking for something specific on here, BDSM. Do you want to try that with me? That was like the best thing that I ever did on dating apps, because lots of women are into BDSM and kink and stuff like that. And the upfrontness of it just made it so much easier, because then I was only matching with people because of my profile had some BDSM pictures in it, still does. I was only matching with people that are looking for the same thing. And then with approaching, I did a lot of fun experiments. A lot of the time I would just listen to like what my heart wanted to do. And so if I'd see a girl that looked really pretty, like just natural beauty, I'd be like, wow, you are really naturally beautiful. If I saw a woman that was wearing like high heels and a sexy red dress and just makeup and just trying to look sexy, maybe some tattoos, I'd walk over and I'd be like, whoa, you are intimidatingly sexy. And like whatever my brain was thinking or like whatever was in my heart, I'd just say that. If I saw a girl who looked like a cute little bookworm, like a little cute nerdy girl, it'd be like, you are so cute. Like you're unbelievably adorable. I'm Andy. Are you single? Blah, blah, blah. So I experimented with a lot of things. I tried just smiling at women and not saying anything. Like literally just walk out to a woman with a big giant smile on my face. And then they smile back, because who doesn't smile at someone smiling at them? And then they'd be like, what? Or they'd be like, do I know you? And then I just keep smiling for a few seconds. And then they'd just be grinning and they'd be giggling. And they'd be like, whoa, why are you smiling at me? And I'd be like, because you're pretty and I can't help it. And they'd be like, oh my God, thank you. So just if I give you one little experiment that you can try, just try whatever is in your heart. Like you don't really need some like perfect pickup line or any of that. Like a lot of different stuff works. Really, all you're doing is communicating to another human being, I like you. Or I think you're attractive. Would you like to go on a date with me? You can even just say that. That's a fun experiment that I did for a while. I just walk up to people and be like, yo, you're really attractive. I'd love to go on a date with you. Would you like that? Like you can just get straight to the point. So honesty.
And I think a lot of this sort of stuff, like it is about like what's fun for you and what's going to be enjoyable. So like I would never really be interested in doing like a lot of the silly, jokey stuff that you did. And not that I really approach anybody, but that doesn't really resonate with me. And I know you had a client in the past, Ed, who like during the approach anxiety, one of the drills is to high five people on one of the days. And he was really, really struggling with that one. Whereas I think you had a lot more fun with that. And it's even something you would go around and do now if you really wanted to. And I think a lot of the time when it comes to experiments, just do what feels good and natural for you, because that's going to be the stuff that you want to keep doing, which is going to get you better results.
Yeah, and Rishav asked a good question here. Did you document these experiments? Yeah, there are lots of them on my blog on killyourinnerloser.com. I would love to see just the results of what worked or what not. It all works, my brother. Like go out and try stuff and you'll see that it all works. Again, as long as you're communicating to the other person, I find you interesting or appealing. Would you like to go on a date with me? There are a billion different ways you can communicate that. You're just being honest. You're saying, I want to go on a date with you. Like there's a billion ways you can communicate that. So it all works, dude. Like it all does work. As Ravi kind of said, a sign of someone who's truly done the work is their energy has shifted. So you can not even need to speak. It's energy. People feel it. Yeah. And so if you go up to a woman, you know, assuming you're a guy walking up to a woman, if you go up with the energy of like, I like her or I find her interesting, I want to go on a date with her, there's a million different ways to communicate that. Like I said, you can almost like not even say anything and just communicate, I like her with a big giant smile. So I promise a lot of things work, dude. Like go out and try different things. Go out and have fun. Like really, you're just being honest. Whatever's in your heart or your head, just go do that. Ryu says, what to do if a woman you're seeing agrees to an open relationship but wants a don't ask, don't tell policy while engaging with friends, family, and acquaintances. So are you saying like if any friends or anything ask about us, we just say that we're monogamous? Is that?
That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
Like your friends and family don't know that it's an open relationship.
How to go about doing this without lying or heavily deceiving people? Well, I mean, no one's going to say like, are you guys monogamous? Like everyone will just fucking assume that you're monogamous. So if it's something that you both decide that you don't want to share with people, other people aren't obliged, or what would I say? Other people are not entitled to the information in your head. So you don't have to go and tell everyone. Now, me personally, like me, Andy, if we were doing that, like let's say you and I both decided we're not going to tell anyone that we're in an open relationship, which for me, I think that's just too much effort. Like eventually your friends are going to find out. Your friends found out.
But keeping in mind, like your mum didn't know for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And then when I told her, she was like, cool.
Yeah.
Great. Is Imi happy? Are the girls you see happy? Yes, great, cool. But if someone asks, I just like to tell them. I feel like that's just easier. But you'll probably find that most people don't ask, dude. Like they won't. They'll just assume you're in monogamy. So that's my personal preference. I would never outright lie if asked a direct question. But yeah.
And the great example of that is that you never lied to your mum, but like, why would she ever ask? Like you just talked about, like my girlfriend Imi.
Yeah, I took a while. Like to be clear, as what you're talking about, I took a while before I finally worked up the courage to tell my mother and my father, and I guess my sister, this is an open relationship. But if they had ever asked at any point, which why would they? If they ever did, like your mum did, your mum knew.
Yeah, but I told her.
Yeah,
early on.
But she found our blog anyway.
She found the podcast. Yes.
Yeah, and friends. I told all my friends because like why wouldn't I? Yeah. So yeah, do whatever you want and what she wants. Yeah, Faretin makes a really good point. I realized it's easier to love yourself if you just think, I want to give myself love and attention as I deserve, rather than I hate being depressed and I have to love myself in order to get rid of it. Yeah. A lot of times, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. A lot of times with depression or anxiety, we're so busy trying to fix the anxiety and the depression that almost just becomes overwhelming in itself. And it's just about taking little baby steps and start being a tiny bit more loving. Like you're just starting with baby steps. You don't have to fix depression or cure depression. Like that can just be a little bit overwhelming.
For sure.
Cody says in regards to he and his wife Mariah selling their house, we're waiting until a few elder relatives have passed to let move. That's nice that you guys care about them and like you're looking after them and stuff. That's really sweet. We know we want to see other parts of the US, but also Europe. I am a descendant of, I can't pronounce that, brah. Cunut the Great. So I'd like to see England. Jolly old England. That sounds cool. That sounds cool as hell. Life of Brandon. We didn't even read these out. Wins. He took some new pictures for his dating profile. Got a job to earn money on the side while he's in school. That's cool as hell. Brady says, hi, Andy and Amy. How's it going? Thanks for having me on the podcast a few years ago. That was a few years ago, my man.
I don't know a Brady.
Just popped in to say hello and hope you're doing well.
Hi.
Doing very well, my friend.
Yeah.
Blue Note says, hey guys, thanks for hosting these live streams. I've been dealing with a lot of brain fog lately, depression related. Have you ever dealt with this? Absolutely. Yes.
You can talk on this one.
Any tips or exercise? I mean, the basic stuff, if you haven't already, like work on your sleep, work on improving that. A really good book on that is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, I believe. It sounds like you're working on being a little bit happier, being a little bit more loving. Work on diet, like something that clears up a lot of brain fog for me personally is keto. Like honestly, like my brain fog has a lot of it's gone. And for me, having no caffeine, if I have caffeine, I just get brain fog. Like that's just me and my biology. It wasn't always like that, but when I hit like 25, caffeine just started affecting me. So I'm like, often we just go through these basic things for a lot of my coaching clients. I say like, let's improve the sleep a little bit each day. Let's work on having less caffeine or no caffeine. Let's work on the diet. Those three things for a lot of people kind of improve a lot of things. But yeah, I would start with those. If you want to jump on a coaching call with me, we can go a little deeper on that stuff, but particularly the depression, I'm happy to do that. But if you haven't already started with those three things, I would start with those three things. You can also get blood tests for things like hormones, like maybe your testosterone is out of whack. I'm on TRT, like testosterone replacement therapy. A couple of my friends are too. So I would get that checked. Like go talk to a doctor if you haven't already. Get some blood tests and vitamins and minerals. Goes on to say also Team Roy or Team Jamie. Shrinking is also a great show with a somewhat similar vibe. Interesting. I got a little bit to say about that too. So Team Roy or Team Jamie?
It's referring to the TV show Ted Lasso that you mentioned earlier.
Well, my friend, we practice non-dualism here. So why not Team Roy and Team Jamie?
Yeah, I actually really like them both.
Yeah, I like them both.
Towards the end of the third season. We're not done yet, but yeah.
So yeah, we haven't finished. We got like, I don't know, 8 episodes to go. But yeah, I like them both. I like how much Jamie, so Jamie is a male football player. I like, and this is part of why we like the show Ted Lasso. He went from very self-absorbed and sort of egotistical or ego-focused.
He was like the diva character.
Yeah, he was a bit of a diva.
Football team.
He thought he was God's gift to the universe, and he got humbled in quite a few big ways. And a lot of people, when they get humbled, Like Nate in the show is a really good example of this. A lot of people, when they get humbled, they go the other way and they become more arrogant and more combative and more aggressive. But Jamie took the lesson of being humbled and completely changed as a human being. I think Roy's done the same thing. I think Roy's been humbled in a few ways. So I like the show for the way that it presents honesty, male emotions. I like the way that, like, the Diamond Dogs, Blue Note, you're going to know what that means, talk about their emotions. It's a group of men that get together and they talk about shit. They're not just like bottling it up and all of that. The show also has a psychologist in it and they talk about that. Like, it's a really good fucking show. It like really is. We'll probably finish up in 10 minutes, but you mentioned Shrinking. I liked Shrinking, but personally I couldn't stick with it. So I watched about like 15 episodes. I didn't feel that it had the positivity that Ted Lasso had, at least not for what I'm looking for. I'm looking for stuff that's like very, very, very positive. And I found at times Shrinking was a little bit more drama focused. And for some people, that's what they're looking for. And so I'm not saying that Shrinking's a bad show. I think it was a beautiful show. It just didn't quite resonate with me. I have limited time. I have like a billion TV shows and books and shit that I have on my reading list. So I like Shrinking. I could have seen myself sticking with it if I had more time. But I think we're just busy with other stuff. Cody says, Andy and Emmy, I want to become or pursue becoming a life coach. My fear is I don't have enough life experience to be an effective coach. What do you recommend I do or learn? Did I feel like I was worthy of being a coach at the start?
No.
Did I feel like I was worthy of even having a website to give advice?
Not really. It was more that like a lot of people pushed you to do so.
And begged, yeah. Did I feel like a giant fucking fraud for the first like 3 years?
Yeah.
Did I have a million doubts?
Yeah.
Okay,
the point being,
did Ravi feel all of that too when he started his business? Yes, he felt like a
Yes.
giant fucking fraud. So, Cody, feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, it's literally not any more than that. You have a limiting belief right now that I don't have enough life experience. Part of how you work with that is just don't talk about stuff that you don't know. Like, be honest. That was something that I embraced really early on. I had quite a few coaching clients. Like, one of my oldest clients was a guy called Ed, who's now one of the coaches in my coaching program. And he came to me with severe erectile dysfunction. Like, literally his penis would not work ever. And he'd never had sex. He was like 31 years old, had all sorts of baggage. He'd been to so many psychologists and doctors, and he'd tried a billion different things. And he came to me and he's like, my big fear is that my penis is never going to work and I'm never going to have sex. I'm never going to lose my virginity. I can't fix this. Like, what do I do? And I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, how do I fucking know? This is out of my wheelhouse. I've only just started coaching. I've had erectile dysfunction many times, but not to this level. I'll be very honest and tell you I don't know. But if you're willing to stick with me and you're willing to keep trying lots of different things, I can promise you that I will stay with you until we solve this. I know there is a solution out there because every problem has a solution. I don't know what the solution is. It might be multiple things. We might have to try a whole list of things. But if you're willing to work with me, I will not quit on you. Are you willing to work on this? And he was like, yes. Everyone else has given up on me or I gave up on them. Yes. And so we just brainstormed. The first couple of sessions, we brainstormed like 50 different things that we could try. We Googled. Like, I literally sat there on Google with him live on the coaching call and we Googled shit. And we tried like everything, and eventually we solved it. And now he's had sex with like tons of women. He's working on now finding a wife, and he wants to have a big family, and all of that. But yeah, I was very honest. I don't know how to solve this, but I know there is a solution out there. Let's work on this together. And I think a lot of coaches and psychologists and experts are so hyper focused on trying to look like the expert, which, Cody, is essentially your question. How do I look like an expert? Stop trying to look like a fucking expert. Be a human being. And share with your clients the struggles that you have. Be honest and vulnerable, and that can take some practice. That's scary. It was for me. But tell them when you don't know something, and then say, let's find out. This was something that I learned when I used to work retail jobs. Sometimes customers would come up to me and ask me a question, and I'd just be like, I don't know, but let me go ask the manager, and I'll find out for you. And they loved that because it's like, hey, thanks for not fucking lying to me or pretending that you know, or just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that you can have all of the personal experience in the world, like in your own life, but it's a very different thing to have that experience for yourself and then to help people with their own life experience, like their own problems. And there's almost experience that's required in being a coach in how to deal with people. And that's something that you can only really get from coaching people and working on the actual thing itself rather than just gaining more experience for yourself, like independently. So if this is something that you want to get into, it might require like figuring out how to be a coach by being a coach.
Mm.
And obviously, like something that's you've talked about a lot is that you don't, charge big ticket prices or promise a lot at the beginning.
Mm.
You just say like, I'm going to do what I can to help you as much as I can. And then from there, once you've worked with more people, get testimonials, have some basically evidence that you can help people, that's when I guess you can get that
You start to
confidence, you
believe
have that
in yourself,
experience. Yeah. And then you can tell people, no, I do trust that I'm going to be able to help in X, Y,
Yeah.
Z.
Which is the point we're at now. Like, there's literally no one that would come to me that because one of you asked a similar question. Mortis said, Andy, have you ever had a difficult client? Yeah, all the time. Dangerous, not dangerous. Like, they're not going to stab me, bro. But not willing to change. Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, not changing at all. Yeah, I've had quite a few. Have you ever given up on someone? No, I'd never give up on someone, but I let go of the neediness for them to change. I let go of the idea that I have to change everyone's life. And I'm not perfectly, I haven't perfectly given up on that, but I haven't perfectly let go of the desperate need to change everyone's life. Like, I still have that. I've talked about that recently in a couple of these live streams, but yeah, it's more about just accepting some people aren't able to change, and maybe they're just not at the point where they can change. But no, the vast majority of people that come to the coaching program change their life in massive ways. But every now and then, yes, you'll get someone who's a little bit stuck in negativity. But even then, I wouldn't say they don't change at all. They still massively change. It's just that maybe there's still some work to do. And part of the coaching program is that people get to stay in the coaching program for life. Like, we have a Discord group that people are in for life. So it's not like they don't fail, if you get what I mean. It's like they'll make massive changes in the 12 weeks and really will work mostly with them on mindset. Then they'll go in the Discord group and essentially have more coaching for the rest of their life. Because some of the coaches from the coaching program are in there, literally coaching people. So no, I've never found someone who couldn't change, if that's your question. Have I ever given up on someone? No. But I don't take it personally if they don't immediately solve every perceived problem instantly in 12 weeks. That's just unrealistic for some people. Some people have spent an entire lifetime practicing negativity. It would be irrational for me to expect that person to just suddenly be like, I'm happy. With a lot of people, that does happen. Just being surrounded by so many other positive people in the coaching program, lifts so many of them up. It's like magic. The coaching program is magic, sometimes without me even doing anything. A lot of the time, I feel like I'm not even doing anything. They're just around a bunch of other positive people. But yeah, sometimes they'll make decent leaps forward, and then they keep doing the work for the next 9 months or the next year or two. Ravi is a good example of that. Ravi took a couple of years to really start being more positive. He was making massive changes during his time in the coaching. But yeah, so hopefully that answers that question. Maybe we'll do one or two more. Ravi says, for most of my 20s, I woke up not wanting to be here. Yeah, I know that feeling. 3 weeks before I turned 30, I joined the coaching program. 3 years later, my life is, and I quote, cool as fuck. Paradigms are king. The world is abundant. Each year gets better across all metrics. I work on mindset daily, and I found it to be probably the most powerful tool in self-improvement. Yeah, I know, right? Hey, this is only a game of mindset, but people are like, I'm here to get laid. I'm here to make money. It's like, nah, you're not. You're literally here to work on your mindset. And as your mindset improves, the money just comes. The sex just comes as a consequence of who you have become. So, yeah. Obvious Throwaway says, just got back from improv class. Hope you're doing good. That's cool. We've had quite a few coaching clients that do improv.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. As a way to work on confidence. We suggest that to people when they're like, how do I become more confident? The answer is obviously talk to more people and put yourself in situations where it's sink or swim, so to speak, where there's no big negative consequences, but you're going to have to think on your feet. Improv is the best way. We've also suggested people do stand-up comedy, and they do that, or go to bars and be sober. That, or maybe just have half a drink, but go there pretty sober. That can be a really good way to start practicing your conversation skills and your confidence. Cody gives some tips here. Time, perspective, action. These 3 things helped me the most. Once I took the time to consider things from another perspective, taking action becomes easy. Yeah, working on mindset, building a winner's mindset. That's what the Play to Win video course is for. How to build a mindset where you'll just automatically be positive rather than automatically negative. Expert sheet clapper. Hello, good evening, beautiful people. Hello, my friend. How you doing? There's more questions, but I feel like that's most of them. Someone asked a question here about business. Rishabh, I can't find your comment. No, here you go. You said, I'd love more content or advice about business or making more money. So go onto my channel, click on the playlist button. You'll see I have a whole playlist for business and stuff like that, making money. There's a bunch in there. If you have any more specific questions after you've watched all those videos, you're very welcome to leave them in like on these live streams or a comment or something, and I can do content on it if you have a specific question. But yeah, I've covered business a little bit. I'm happy to cover it way more. Most of the time I just talk about what I feel like talking about. And sometimes that's business, sometimes it's not. So yeah, if you got questions, asked. Reading through the rest of them. Yeah, maybe this last one and then we'll finish up. You want to read this one?
Ravi has the craziest change I've ever seen. He's the one who arguably has given me the most hope. Back when I was a lot younger, though. Now I'm his age when he started, and I'm so pissed that it hasn't changed for me, other than just, well, my mindset and overall black pill freedom. I think even to acknowledge that the mindset has changed is a massive thing. And I think sometimes when certain people are presented to you as having changed these things, and it's all laid out in front of you, like 3 years worth of work and progress is laid out, it can feel like a lot. But I think maybe if you do the same with yourself and like recognize where you came from to where you are now, there's probably a lot there that you're not giving yourself credit for, or you're not fully appreciating. Because when we're living our own life day to day, like we're doing the things and the change is happening, but because we're witnessing every single second of it, it's not that exciting. It's like when you see someone with a small child and you come back 6 months later or a year later and the child's a lot bigger. You're like, oh my God, you've gotten so big. But the parent that's there every day is not like, oh my God, my child's gotten so big. It's like, yeah, I've seen this every day. It's like, it's not that exciting. The difference or the change isn't as profound or as noticeable because you're the one that's there every day. So I think documenting, and like even when I've had PTs in the past, like they always say like take progress pictures, because day to day it's not going to feel like a lot's happening. But if you look at like 6 months or a year's worth of progress, that's when you're going to realize, no, there actually has been a change. So I would, I guess, recommend that. And with the other thing as well with our own,
Sorry, no, you keep
with our respective journeys, not everyone's journey is going to be the same. It can look different. You might feel like you're not making progress for a while, and then it might, exponentially grow after 3 or 4 or 5 years. Like you never know when that pivotal moment is, and to expect that your journey is going to look like another person's journey. Like, what's the saying that like comparison is the
thief of joy?
That's the one. And I think looking at other people's journeys and saying like, I should have achieved as much as them, like there's so many factors that go into your life and your background and why you are where you are right now. And there might be things that other people might not have to work through or different hurdles for you to overcome. And the nature of it all is that you're going to be on your own journey. So just focus on that, on your journey, stay in your lane, all that good stuff.
Stay in your lane, yeah. You know what's funny is he says, now I'm the same age as Ravi when he first started, and I'm pissed that it hasn't changed for me. You're the same age that Ravi was when he first started, and it hasn't changed for him. Or is he the
same age as Ravi now?
No, I'm the same age when he first started.
Oh, well then...
So yeah, of course it hadn't changed for him because he just started. And the way that you're feeling, I'm pissed that I'm not the same as Ravi. Ravi felt pissed that he wasn't the same as everyone else. Do you know how angry Ravi was when he first came to coaching? He was like the definition of comparing himself to everyone else and being angry and pissed off and all of that. So you feel exactly the same as Ravi. And yet you're somehow saying that's a negative. You're literally in the same position Ravi was in. But you see how the brain will automatically go to a negative and say, it's bad that I'm in the same position Ravi was when he started. It's like, no, it makes you the same. Ravi had the same thing with me too. He compared himself to me and he's like, I'm way too late and I'm fat. Lots of you do. You're like, I'm in my late 20s and it's too late for me and I've failed. And it's like, when I was 28, I thought my life was over. I did a video on this. You can search my channel, just search for the word 28. I literally did a video called When I Was 28, I Thought My Life Was Over. And a lot of you are younger than me and saying like younger than I was when I started and saying like, my life is over. It sucks. It's like, no, you're the same age that I started. You're the same age that Ravi started. Like,
and sometimes
go do the work.
Sometimes you, Andy, and definitely I compare myself to other people as well.
Yeah.
Like we all do it. And it's just this continual process of reminding yourself that you don't need to be where somebody else is. Like I often go back home to visit family and old high school friends, and the amount of times I chat with people that I haven't seen in 4, 5, 6 years, and it so regularly comes out that yes, we're comparing ourselves to each other and the people that we graduated with, and we feel like we're not doing enough and achieving enough. Like especially everyone that I went to school with, that's such a common theme. And even sometimes I'll go to the It was recently, actually. I went back home and I visited friends, and I was at a party, and it was one of my friends' 25th, and I was talking to like a 35-year-old or something, and he was comparing himself to everyone was there because it was a lot of our like class of like 2017 or something. And he was saying, when I was your guys' age, so when I was 25, I hadn't achieved nearly as much as all of the kids that are here now. Like it's something that we all do, and especially with social media, when we can, there's such a deep insight into the most highly successful people all around the world. There's always going to be somebody better than you, somebody that's doing really well. And no matter how high you go by whatever metrics you care about, there's always going to be someone that's doing better than you, or did it earlier than you, or did it faster than you, or any number of things. So
yeah, you'll always be able to compare yourself and come up short.
yeah. Let it go. Focus on your own journey and your own progress rather than that of others.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone that you can use to make yourself feel shit, like always, permanently.
Mm.
Like, why am I not a millionaire at 20? There's other millionaires at 20. It's like, congratulations. Almost none of us are millionaires at 20. That means we all failed and we all suck. Like, you'll always be able to say that.
Mm.
Or some guys had sex with 1 billion human beings and you're like, oh my God, I can never do that.
Anyone's had sex with 1 billion.
Got to be someone out there.
1 billion?
1 billion. Yeah.
No.
Is that a lot? Bro, I have sex with your mum 1 billion times. Anyway, your mum's a lovely woman. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We appreciate all of you. This was fun. This was a good day. I feel like great questions. I appreciate a bunch of you sharing your wins as well. That was really cool. I've left a link in the live chat to the $200 coaching calls if you want to jump on one of them. There's also a link in the description of this video to the Proper Big coaching program. We have coaching payment plans and all of that. We'll run the little cool outro at the end. And look, Phoenix noticed our joke. CFO of Cuddles. See, look.
I'm the CFO.
Down the bottom.
CEO.
See, it says Andy. Everyone look down the bottom left of the screen right now. Andy and Emmy, CEO and CFO of Cuddles. You're the CFO.
Yeah, so I'm dealing with the financing and expenditure regarding Cuddles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to make a stupid little joke down there every day. We'll come up with...
Feel free to... because I'm going to be gone. This is my last one for a few weeks.
Emmy's breaking up with all of us, everyone. Emmy's breaking up with all of you.
Going away.
And she's not going to be here for 3 weeks. 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks. I'll be back on like the 28th, let's say.
Yeah, but I'll be here every day. I will closer to Christmas, like 23rd of Christmas. I can see if my friend Tim wants to come on, if all of you are interested in that. He's like super interesting person. Otherwise, I'll just be here by myself. I don't think there's anyone else that would want to come on here. My friend Jimmy might, maybe. Anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow. Adios. We'll run the coaching.
You've been sitting around trying to achieve your goals on your own, making a little bit of progress, but nowhere near what you know you're capable of. Time to get serious. Ravi got serious by joining my coaching, following in my footsteps, and creating his own kick-ass coaching business, motivating other people and changing the world. Joe had a ton of sex and learned to open up deeply with women. He started his own successful photography and dating business, quit his job, and he's earning lots of money. Jack went all in with his sex life, moved across the country to pursue his dreams, had a bunch of wild sex and a threesome, quit porn, and made connections in the LA party scene. Click the link to coaching in the description below. It's time to go all in with this thing and do this thing for real.